Hey guys, Rhino here. Sorry I haven't made a video in a while. I've been really busy with school and other stuff going on in my life, so I've been really focused on that and haven't had time to make any videos. And as these types of videos where I simply just record my desktop and my webcam at the same time take a lot less time to make, I decided I'd make one of these mainly because I was just hanging out and I checked my phone and I had a bunch of notifications from Twitter, and it was a bunch of people were well, mainly one person, but quite a few people were like responding to tweets. And so I was basically involved in this conversation, and this one person posted a bunch of tweets that I'm gonna go through here in a second. um and so basically I'm just going to be responding to some responses that I got, and giving my personal response to each. Starting a ways down. All right, that guy. No, that it's okay. So it started here. So this Carmino. Okay, we'll be able to knock out three at once. Here we go. So this is a tweet where someone posted Aurora, Orlando, Las Vegas, all these shootings that were done with an AR-15. As to point towards the connection between all the shootings. Here, what he's trying to say is, okay, the problem is the AR-15. We need to ban AR-15s, or at least that's what he's hinting at. He's not outright saying that. And so as a response, mainly to show that his point is stupid by linking the connections, I responded with, oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. Whoopsie daisies. I responded with New York City, Ohio State, Minnesota, Orlando, San Bernardino, I can't talk. Bernardino, University of Cal, Islam, all caused by Islam. Notice a pattern. And so here I'm simply pointing out that there's a pattern. And, Islam is the problem, and we'll get into that in a minute. But Carmino says, notice a pattern. There's a shooting almost every day, majority of them by white men. Yeah, okay. Also, don't accuse Islam at being the ones at hand for these shootings. The correct term is ISIS, the actual terror group at fault, not Muslims, not Islam. The issue with this is that it is Islam. So Islam is what allowed ISIS to become a thing. If you read the Quran, the Hadith, any Islamic holy books at all, it's incredibly violent, incredibly volatile, and basically is incredibly toxic, and allows for not only the terrorism that takes place here in the US, and around the world, the Islamic terrorism, what enables that essentially, or what is the driving factor behind it, but it also is what enables the Middle East to run their governments as they do. Where if you are in some countries, if a woman is raped, she should be stoned to death unless she has a certain amount of witnesses. Women aren't allowed to drive in a lot of the countries, etc. It's the Quran and the Islamic holy books in general that are enabling this, that allow this, because they, quite specifically outline very hateful and very terrible things in the books themselves. And so what you do is you make a connection here by saying the majority of them by white men. So essentially like making a list like this, but saying white men. What's the connection between white men? Not really anything. You look at these shootings, I mean, especially like breaking it down why they were committed. There's no connection between anything other than white skin, but white skin isn't implicit for anything. Because of my white skin, I'm not more likely to commit a shooting, but because of a hateful religion, you are. So making a connection like, okay, well, the majority of them are white men, would be the same thing as saying, okay, the majority of these shootings are committed by brunettes. It wouldn't affect anything. In the same sense as saying, the majority of violent crimes are committed by black people. It doesn't matter, because it's not their skin color that causes them to do it. It's the underlying factors. So some of them could be that the Texas shooting, I'm just thinking back to the most recent one that was in the news. From what I hear, it was just an atheist. Well, I'm an atheist, so I don't think anything bad of atheists, but this was someone who took atheism way too far, more like anti-theism way too far. And so you would then be able to start making connections between anti-theism and other mass shootings in the name of anti-theism. But there's not really any. Then you go to Dylan Roof, who committed the mass shooting in a church, but his was pure racism, or as he put it, just an outright hatred for black people. So that's what you have to look at. But in the case of these incidences, it's Islam. That's the driving factor. It's not white skin for these shootings, because the white skin didn't do anything. It was just a characteristic of who they are. But Islam actually teaches to kill people who are apostates or who are infidels. You know, people not apostates, people who leave the religion, infidels, people who are not part of the religion. It literally calls for the killing of them. Just go in the holy book and you will see it. And that's what enables this to happen. But having white skin, my white skin doesn't, there's no fine writing that says kill people in Las Vegas. It doesn't do that. So pointing out a pattern of it being white men it has no effect in this case. But Islam is at fault. Just because ISIS, one terrorist group, is of Muslim origin does not mean that all Muslims are a part of ISIS. I never said all Muslims are a part of ISIS, but Islam. And this is the difference between Islam and Muslims. When I attack things, I'm attacking Islam. I'm not attacking Muslims. I don't hate Muslims. Just like the saying, just because I hate cancer doesn't mean I hate cancer patients. There's a lot of people indoctrinated into the religion of Islam, and it's not their fault. But what the real discussion needs to be is about Islam itself, and either, well, most likely, what's the word? Modernizing it to a more, well, better religion. So we don't have a whole region of the world that actually oppresses women, where feminists should actually be focusing their time, but, whatever. So, yeah. And Islam is a peaceful religion. No, it's not. Look at their holy books. Look at the Middle East. Look at Islamic terror. It's not. And then you say, just like the KKK is an extremist group for Christianity. Well, I'm not a Christian, so I'm not out to defend Christianity. But here's the thing. Take a look at the last 10 years. Make a list of all the mass killings done by KKK members. It'll be a very short list. And then make a list of all mass killings done by people of Islam. That's where you'll start to see a little bit of an issue. Well, actually, so you're doing ISIS and the KKK, but ISIS, the KKK, if you compare the two, ISIS, Islam really, versus the KKK, Christianity, one is a lot worse than the other. And if you look at the religion or the driving force behind mass shootings, mass killings, Christianity is like a teeny tiny ass bar, and Islam is just like massive. Islam is the issue. I agree that ISIS is an issue, but Islam is the driving force behind that. So that's these three. That's a response to someone else. Okay. So this is a response to my pointing out the double standard. Okay, honey, you really don't understand what feminism is, do you? That tweet is not what feminism stands for. In fact, I agree that she completely overreacted. Feminism is for equality among men and women. Well, here's the thing. Admittedly, none of this is actual feminism, technically. What I'm pointing out here, well, and I actually do understand feminism very well. As you say, feminism is for equality among men and women. And I'm glad that you believe that. But it doesn't matter what feminism stands for. It's the actions of the members inside the movement. And if you look at the majority of feminists, especially campus feminists like I live near, this is the type of shit that they do. where it's absolutely not about equality. It doesn't matter what the movement stands for. Otherwise, you'd be able to look at Nazis and say, oh, it's just National Socialists. It's just people who are prideful in their country who believe in socialism. Okay, that's really not that bad. But then you look at the actions of Nazis and it's like, holy fuck, that's bad. The same thing with feminism. And, you know, obviously not all feminists are that way, but it's a very, very significant amount of feminists where it's become the actual rhetoric of the group. And we're going to get more into that in a little bit. Yes, a lot of women who call themselves feminists are not, because they think women should be overall considered better than men. That's no true Scotsman fallacy. You don't get to determine if they're feminists or not. If they identify as feminists, they're feminists. And so they represent feminism, even if they are these hateful shrews, these just terrible people. It doesn't matter. They identify as feminists. They are feminists, and they stand for feminism. So if you are saying they're not feminists, or you're saying what they stand for doesn't align with feminism, then what you need to do is attack, or you need to stand out against them. You need to speak out against them, attack their ideas, and that's how you work on it. You don't just say, oh, those aren't feminists, we can ignore them, when they are such a big majority that are constantly trending on Twitter, constantly trending in the news, etc. You need to do a little bit more than just say, oh, they're not feminists. No. But yes, they also have a right to be angry because of years and years and years of oppression. Almost none of the women alive today, especially the millennials who love to identify as these radical feminists, have faced any sort of oppression in their lives, at least in the Western world. Lacey Green has never faced oppression. Anita Sarkeesian has never faced oppression. There have been years and years and years of oppression, but that's in the past. That doesn't affect anything today. The fact that women couldn't vote, I can't remember what year it was that women got the vote, but the fact that women couldn't vote X amount of years ago doesn't affect anything today, because women can vote now. Every single woman who's above the age of 18 and I can't remember what other criteria it is able to vote. I think it's if you're a U.S. citizen and you're above 18. Men have to register for the draft, but for women it's above 18, U.S. citizen, I believe. You can vote. And so there's no oppression there. So you kind of go further into this. Dehumanization. That's not the Western world. No one dehumanizes women, or at least no group does. You can't focus on individuals, because yes, there are individuals who rape women. Yes, there are individuals who hate women, oppress women, are sexist, etc. But that you can't do anything about that. That's an individual that doesn't stand for anything. I mean, you can attack that individual's ideas, but what you need to do is you need to focus on, okay, are there governmental structures that hold women down? Well, no, there's affirmative action policies that actually bring women up above men, but you know, that's okay. I mean, I don't like affirmative action policies, but still. Let's see, anything else? Women can vote. Women are equal in the workplace. Women are equal economically, socially, politically, under the law. Looks like women are equal to men. Then sexualization and objectification. So men are sexualized. Channing Tatum, objectified. Here's the thing about objectification. I think objectification is a bullshit term. When I walk past a girl, I mean, I actually don't do this, but if I walk past a girl and I think, oh, that girl is so hot, she's so sexy, I want to have sex with her, she's not an object to me. She's a human being that I want to have sex with. I don't get objectification. I don't see her as purely an object. Maybe some people do, but some people see men as objects as well. So sexualization and objectification are not only things that affect both genders, but aren't even bad things. So what? I sexualize that woman that I pass by. That doesn't affect her at all. In fact, most of the people that are sexualized don't even know it. But if a woman is, for example, in a commercial and she is sexualized for, you know, the whole sex appeal thing, so what? She consented to be sexualized there. on national television, well, probably national television, what's the issue? How is that bringing women down at all? Men are sexualized too as well, but yeah. And so then you say, and inequality. Well, women don't face inequality. In fact, women are equal to men in every single way, except for, you know, they have affirmative action policies that bring women up. So, yeah. Let's see. Yes, they are Muslim, and yes, they claim to preach for Islam, but as I said, it's the same concept as the KKK. They use their holy texts and twist their meanings. I'm guessing you meant to fit what they're actually fighting for, which isn't holy or even religious. It's just pure hate. Well, and then back to what I said before, the KKK is so much more benign than ISIS, and so it's not really a comparison between the two. They claim to preach for Islam. They don't claim to preach for Islam. They can't claim to preach Islam. They are Islamic. They are Muslim. They follow the teachings of the book to a T. They don't twist the meanings. When it says kill kill infidels, they're killing infidels. That is literally killing infidels. It's not twisting the meaning. In fact, technically, it's the more modern and liberal Muslims nowadays who are technically twisting the meaning, but in a good way to be a lot less violent. Because the holy books themselves, if you actually read them, actually take a look at them, they're pretty fucking hateful. They're actually legitimately calling for this hate. This hate is literally in the text, in the holy book itself. So, yeah. ISIS does not go by the Quran the same way other Muslims do. Well, that goes back to what I said. ISIS is the one who actually goes by the Quran itself. They use basic parts of their holy text and mold them, change them to somehow fit what they believe. No. The Quran truly preaches hate, violence, killing apostates, killing infidels, stoning women, killing homosexuals, all that stuff. It's in the Quran. It's literally right there. The ones who don't follow the book the way it says are the other Muslims, as you put it. But I'm glad you did say other Muslims, so you're actually grouping ISIS in with them this time. Has this chick been to the Middle East? Let her go live there for a few months, and she'll see some of the awful shit done in the name of Allah. Yeah, that's entirely true. The sad part is, though, she wouldn't return. She would be either captured and kept as a slave, or she'd be killed. So yeah, but you know, Islam is a religion of peace. Absolutely, it reminds me of Paul Joseph Watson. Yeah, that's his name. Yeah, that's his name. With his video on religion of peace. This guy is just a conspiracy theorist. I'm not going to go into that. Oh, and then this is bringing up the... Okay, and so what Nick Sanford says, I don't know if this statistic is true about the 50% here. More shootings are actually caused by black men, about 50%. I don't know if that statistic is true, but you know, that's another thing that, you know, that I need to re-mention is the fact that their skin color has nothing to do with it. It's always going further. So in the case of over half of violent crimes are committed by black people, despite making up 13% of the population. That statistic is true and frightening. It's not that we should look at black people and be like, oh, you're more likely to commit a violent crime. No, because it has nothing to do with black people. It has to do with culture and class. What people call black culture that I don't believe is black culture, because it's a culture adopted by many races, and it's more of just a low-class culture, it is the cause for why that statistic is that way. Why black people drop out of high school and college at such high rates. But it's, you know, once again, more than just them. And so it would be more... a lower class individual, poor person would be more likely to commit that crime than a rich person, statistically speaking. Talking about violent crimes, though. So yeah, and that just completely debunks her idea of, okay, we need to evaluate why the majority of these shooters are white men. No, you need to take it a step further. The fact that they're white men, well, the skin doesn't do anything. There's no literal text on here that from what I see, I do have some text on my skin, but yeah, that's not telling me to kill anybody. Neither is that one. Damn. Yeah, there's nothing on my skin that does that. You have to take it a step further and look at why. Could be because they're a radical conservative, or a radical liberal, or a radical atheist, or a just a hateful person, or mentally unstable, or I don't know, racist, sexist, etc. And so then if you look at, okay, well, mass shootings in the name of racism over the last 10 years, there's not that many. Mass shootings in the name of atheism, not that many. So then you can't, then there's no ties between the shootings. There's nothing you can really do about it other than, point out, oh, AR-15s, take away guns from the good people, only allow, so then the bad people would acquire them, still be able to commit the crimes, and yada, yada. Then we have the gun control debate, which is a failed debate. So yeah. Yeah, that's about it. If you guys have any responses to these, I'm leaving these tweets up. All of these tweets are on my Twitter. They're in responses to my tweets. So if you guys have your own personal responses that you want to add to these, you're welcome to. You can also post in the comments if you think something I said was incorrect, or if you want to correct it, or you liked it, or whatever. Other than that, thank you guys for watching. Be sure to comment, rate, and subscribe. And as always, have a nice day.